Hey everybody, another build challenge for you guys today. This time I'm focusing on the Ling Tai generator. So I wanted to make a build challenge centered around optimizing around this particular piece of gear. And I came up with a build called the HOTFOOT, which you'll see why when you see how it plays shortly. But let's work backwards and we'll start with the generator and then I'll sort of leapfrog into force decisions and we'll go from there. I would suggest if you're going to make a Ling Tai build, start by loading in your armor pieces and no weapons with all the lowest EN cost of everything. And then work backwards. So like deciding carefully when you're going to spend some of your limited EN support on a particular piece or two that you think is essential. Okay, so let's take a look at the generator. There's two stats that really shine in this one, although arguably they're the same stat. So the EN recharge delay is what we're going to be focusing on. This directly correlates to your EN recharge delay. So the nice thing about this generator is that with the majority of cores, you're going to be floating around 0.5 seconds with the EN recharge delay. However, it does have some weaknesses, which I'll talk about next, right after mentioning this stat here. So the other stat is your supply recovery, which is basically just how long the red line penalty is. So like if you completely burn your energy, you can see it's about 2 beeps. If I compare this to a generator that's not great in terms of the supply recovery, it's like a little bit longer than twice as long, I would say. So this generator basically specializes in mitigating the delay after spending energy so that you're getting your energy back quickly. Let's talk about the build or the generator's weaknesses though. So it does not have great capacity, which is paradoxical when you have a high recharge generator, because you can do a couple actions consecutively, but you have to then have a pause where you need to let the EN recharge delay kick in, and then you earn a couple more, meaning that this build, unlike things like the Santai or other boosters that are, or like the Ming Tang, things that are used with the Alulas, you don't have the ability to like spam QB 5 times. You have the ability to do 2 or 3 and then without redlining it, and then you get your energy back, and then do 2 or 3 and then get your energy back, and just keep repeating that cycle, meaning that the build is better at dodging more often per second over a longer time window than the other generators, but it doesn't have the ability to QB as many times in short bursts. So that's the main weakness, is the capacity. The second weakness is the EN supply. This booster has a really hard time getting enough EN supply to sponsor even like average weapons. You're honestly going to be using the lowest cost of almost everything with just a few slots changed or upgraded when you're making builds around this generator. So with that in mind, if this is going to be an evasive booster that tries to use, an evasive generator that tries to use lots of QBs, we're going to try to squeeze as much as we can out of those QBs as possible. And so for that reason, we're going to run the knock legs and the gills booster. The knock legs have the best jump distance for biped legs, allowing us to do good jump distance evasion on the ground, which we need in order to get away from pistols and other close range weapons with scary impact buildup. We need the ability to control space very, very well with the few boosts that we have. The gills is basically an EN efficient Alula, so its EN load is not much lower. However, its QB cost is noticeable. So we go down from 683 if we're using the Alula down to 613. It also has better upward thrust and upward EN cost, meaning we can squeeze more upward play out of our EN capacity that we have, which is quite low. But that said, keep in mind this booster wants to stay on the ground so you can really keep the Ling Tai working. So we shouldn't be going up in the air unless we're forced to due to some sort of rush down or chase down situation. We give up the ability to assault boost with as much thrust. However, we have more EN efficiency, so it roughly balances out, but we are going to be slower on the chase. So just keep that in mind. This is an evasive build, not one that necessarily rushes down. Okay, I'll come back to the FCS because this one is basically just a choice between two based on the weapons you end up running. Melanders, most EN efficient arms that still give us strong firearm specialization. That's why we take these. You could run the tool if you're willing to give up some firearm spec, but I just didn't want to do that. We really need that firearm spec to help us out with our FCS because we're going to be basically locked into choosing either close range or medium range. The Talbot's a little too inefficient, and so we need the firearm spec to help us out when we're in our weak range. The ephemera core, I would say, is almost essential. Just getting this stat here at max is crucial to squeezing as much EN supply as you can get out of the Ling Tai, and therefore the ability to use weapons while still keeping your EN supply efficiency above 3,000, which I think is essential. It's the only way to get your, like, basically from 0 to fully recharged. You want to aim to keep that at like I would argue like 1.3 seconds, kind of what you're aiming for, because a lot of other boosters with better capacities can get 0 to full in 1.5 to 1.75 seconds. So things like the Ming Tang, the VP 20S, those generators will start to outperform the Ling Tai if you start dipping below that EN supply efficiency. Howl's a notable mention. It's heavy though, which was difficult. I think you'd have to give up the legs if you're going to run these, like probably run the grids or something really EN efficient. But you're going to give up jump distance if you're going to run the Howl. There are other builds that could definitely be made heavier though, but that stat I think is critical. And is the main decision, followed by booster efficiency, which is the reason I didn't go with the Howl. I just wanted to squeeze a bit more booster efficiency. And you'll notice, because I'm sure this question will come up, the generator supply adjust, so the thing that helps you boost your EN recharge delay. You might think that stacking this and synergizing it with the Ling Tai is sensible, but the truth is it doesn't make a huge difference. You're only usually saving 0.0 something of a second on your EN recharge delay. If it was more like a tenth of a second, then I would argue there was a place for it. But as of now, it just doesn't boost the Ling Tai enough to really warrant giving up any other stat. The tiny fraction of a second's difference is most of the work is being carried by the generator anyways in those cases. So take EN supply efficiency. Finder Eye is purely for EN. Again, this one I didn't upgrade. I just left it on the lowest stat. And then we'll take a look at our weapons. So one thing you'll notice is that you just really need to run super low EN weapons for most of your loadout, although you will have the ability, depending on how much room you've left, to take 1 or 2 decent cost weapons. Nothing super expensive, but maybe decent. And the 2 that I chose were the stun pistol, a single one. This one gives me 247 EN load, so it's a little expensive, and the PB buckler. So the PB buckler works perfectly with any QBing lightweights, because when you're not QBing and you're vulnerable, you can deploy the shield, which, funny enough, when you're in between your QBs, because of the Ling Tai's performance and EN recharge delay, you basically get your energy back as soon as you start getting it back as soon as the shield's IG window goes down. So only thing I would warn you is try not to overheat the shield, and also don't hold the shield up longer than its IG duration, which means you will have to put it down while you're still regenerating energy. But basically, you're just focusing on blocking some of their like attacks if they're like an Etzogen or whatever. But if it's a nuke, then just only deploy it once they fire the nuke. Because if you take a hit when it's not in its IG window, it's going to punish you hard, because this shield does not have much mitigation at all in non-IG. So get used to dropping it even though you're still regenerating energy a little bit early. Just you don't want to accidentally take a nuke into an un-IG'd window there. All right, so the stun pistol and the Viento were my 2 main focuses. That or the Etzogen. You want a weapon that dumps its magazine quickly. The Etzogen indirectly is okay because it fires a burst, which means it gets most of its bullets out that it wants to shoot before your next QB. So that does synergize well, but I did find that the stun pistol just had better performance, because not only does it shoot really quickly, but it triggers a massive amount of damage when it procs the status buildup. So this weapon is putting in 2 jobs. It's getting impact buildup when I get a status proc, and it's also getting a lot of damage. So I really do need to try to make weapons that do multi-purpose. The Therapist, while having some stun buildup, is pretty much negligible, although it is helping some, so I wouldn't say it's not doing anything. The main reason we're running these is to have an option that we can poke at medium range for, but also works in close range for impact buildup. So again, a dual purpose weapon. And don't forget about the charge attack that you can do on these, so it is really good in close if you just do that. And then I run a second one. So if another nice thing about having 2 therapists is if ever someone runs a shield and basically shuts down my stun pistol, I can swap to 2 therapists and just play this way at medium range until I have overworked their shield, and then work in the stun pistol after that shield's overheated. Now, you might think, well, should I just purge the stun pistol? You can, but I feel like the EN recharge delay is already operating really well. If I do purge it, I get quite a lot of EN back, but I'll just show you why I don't think it's necessarily worth it. You still want that damage punish when you've overheated the shield. So you'll see the EN recharge delay is faster, but I don't think it really makes a big enough of a difference to justify not taking that option to really punish them hard once you have overheated the shield. So yeah, that's kind of why we're running Therapist. They basically are our counter shield and our medium range poke while providing impact and some extra damage, but also synergizing with the stun pistol because of the stun buildup that they offer, however little it is. One stun pistol will still do the job as long as you're landing. If you land like 2 magazines, you'll usually get a proc. Funny enough, one big weakness of the stun pistol is the ammo. It has like no ammo. 133 rounds. There's been a couple of fights where I've literally run out of ammo in this right as I finish the fight. So I think against tanks, you're going to need to be selective and rely on the Therapist a little bit more. But like just to use it and help it contribute to save some ammo room with the stun pistols. Okay, so with those weapon choices, we end up going for the Abbott as our low-cost FCS. The reason being is we just need to be able to hit close range. The stun launcher, like the Therapist, it works pretty well even if you don't have a solid lock because it fires an AoE. So even just having a little bit of medium assist with our firearm spec can do a lot of the work. The other option was to run medium range, but and then maybe run like an Etsugen Majestic, which I have done with this build. It was fun, but the firing stance of the Majestic was just too easy to punish with this build, so I ended up settling on this weapon loadout. Pulse armor is a deliberate choice. Normally when I run a shield, I'll choose assault armor, and assault armor would be nice just because not only can we do the assault armor reversal tech with our PV buckler if we're against another assault armor player or like melee, and also it would help with the ammo of the stun pistol because it just gives us a way to chip out a huge amount of AP off of our opponent once we've staggered them once. But the problem is you just don't want to get that close to them, and usually if you do and you get the assault armor off, they wake up in time to punish you. You just have to play a little bit closer than sometimes you want to if you're going to run assault armor. So I ended up just choosing pulse armor for sustain on this build. It allows you to delay that first stagger and gives you more time to really just bleed out their health with the stun pistol. And this build already specializes in just being hyper evasive, so pulse armor is the natural synergy. Assault armor would be nice. It just felt too risky to on this build because you don't have a lot of great close range shutdown. If they're a rushdown build like with mini stuns, you don't have any mini stuns, and so yes, the stun pistol will get procs, but you can't really control the moment it happens. You're just a little bit too vulnerable against certain builds to make assault armor work. Okay, I think that basically covers everything. Let's jump into some PvP matches now. This is the Coral Blade one? Coral Blade, Pulse Blade? Alright, nice. So I have a defensive option, which is nice because I have a shield. So this would be like, not like the one thing with the Coral Blade, Pulse Blade is, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be hard. I'm fast as fuck. I got the Ling Tai and the gills. Yeah. Got you. No, this thing's fast as fuck. And the thing is, it just never stops either. Like, I never run out of energy because I'm just constantly regenerating. And that. Alright. Give that one another shot. This is a hard counter to his build though, because the PP bucklers and the stun gun is a really strong pairing against melee. So yeah, go for it. You don't even need 2 stun guns. That's the thing I find. Like even one does the trick. Parried all of that. Oh my god, that was even the Zimmerman got parried there. the Ling Tai, man. It's a Ling Tai, it's okay. It's a meme build. SNL clip. Chris Farley. When it works. No, I parried it with the assault armor. Or sorry, I parried the assault armor, I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Build's damage sneaks up on you. It doesn't seem like it's doing a lot, but then just randomly you end up taking big chunks. That too. Yeah, the Coral Blade Pulse Blade is very aggressive committal, but has no defensive. Well, you can sort of do the Coral Blade, but has no defensives. Oh my lord. I have no idea if I have enough ammo to kill this hulking beast. Ear shots. Alright, I'll maybe just... So that's why I bring the therapists. Just poke at medium range with the therapist. It's gonna ear shot me. There we go. Did I get the... Yeah, I got the health blade. Okay, that's good. He's gotta come to me now. I do parry the ear shots, but I'm not too worried about that. The problem is if they hit the ground behind me, then it goes behind my shield. Oh, I parried that, but it didn't matter because the splash got me from the side. Let's just try the stun gun right above. Getting ready to parry the ear shot. Yeah. All right. I can't believe that worked. The thing is, I get my energy back really fast, like 0.5 delay with like basically 2/3 of a second to refill from 0. And oh my god, the stun grenade interrupted the ear shot. That was brutal. so frustrated right now. This is so frustrating for that explosive thrower doing nothing. Oh, I gave up.